Welcome to the Connected Growth Coaching Podcast, where we support women to rediscover who they are so they can thrive in all parts of their lives. Your hosts, Jen Heilman and Amanda Kingsley, share with you unique life coaching resources centered around the power of the mind and the ancient practice of feng shui. All right.
Okay.
Do it.
Let's do this.
This is so good. We need like a behind the scenes for this podcast. This is when you wish you could see us, because there's balloons over my head. We are hiding away in my son's bedroom because that was the place that worked.
Because we have a house full of teenagers right now, and they're noisy.
It totally works. So we're rocking it. Oh, so good.
Mompreneur.
It's actually kind of cool because we're talking about sustainable growth today, and how do you maintain. We will put a hefty focus on a business, right? How do you maintain growing a business in a sustainable way? But you could apply it to anything.
Absolutely.
How do you maintain a sustainably growing and healthy family project? Well, whatever it is. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, totally, right?
Yeah,
exactly. All of the rules apply.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was what came to us as a really important thing, because people come to us all the time and talk about this. So how do we do it ourselves?
Right. How do you do it? How do you keep your sanity?
Came up really strong for us this week because we just came through a strong period of action.
Right.
And we were doing a lot of just kind of I want to say nailing it out. Or pushing it out.
Logistical kind of things within the business, and content creation and marketing and all of the things, right? That aren't necessarily jumping on a podcast. We love that. We're let's just go have a conversation and we'll record it. That's those are the fun things. But this is
learning how to use lead quizzes and interact and is it's intense.
It's intense, right? So that action stuff that you have to push through, that you're actually not even totally sure is the exact direction, right? Because we got through lead quizzes and decided
we were this is not working.
Don't like this, right? So back it up,
learn how to use a whole new program,
right? Yep, exactly. And so it's that constant action that you come off of, and all of a sudden you need to take a deep breath, right? And
it's sort of like in parenting world, it's when you the beginning of the school year, it's signing up for activities and filling out the paperwork and getting on the new schedule and figuring out the lunches, and it's that time where there's such a strong weight on the stuff.
Right, exactly.
You're just doing
pushing
the
through
stuff,
it.
versus being really. And so how it came up for us is we got through a big push, and we were it's time to recenter. It's time to get back in the vibration that feels really good to us. It's time to connect back with ourselves, connect back with, meditation and all the woo stuff that we love. Because if we don't maintain those cycles of connecting back, then there is no balance.
Right.
Yeah. And you can sustain any amount of action for a really long time, but eventually, no matter who you are, you're going to burn out.
Yeah, exactly.
So to grow sustainably, you have to have that balance.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can have that balance within the action, right? Life doesn't seem to work that way. It doesn't seem to work particularly around those types of events, right? Like the beginning of school. If you are trying to fit all of the things in, right, you almost go a little bit crazy. So maybe if you, really are engaged in exercise, you make sure that you exercise. If you usually exercise 3 days a week, maybe you commit to 2 days a week just to get through that period of time. So you're not like totally out of balance, but it's really hard to go through those pushes and sustain all of the things, right?
Yeah. We both love Abraham. So if you're not listening to Abraham on YouTube, like, go listen.
Yes, right, exactly.
Even if it feels like this is crazy town, like, just keep listening for a little while, because it's so much power and wisdom and just like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And for us, we were both like, that's what, in many ways, like, things like that keep us in the right mindset.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so, in during this whole week of push, the last 2 or 3 weeks of push, I've been like in the car listening to Abraham Hicks, and just like, that's my downtime. I consume that, and it makes me get back in touch with my center and the fact that this is all going to be worth it. And, and I think one of the main conversations that we had, in realizing that we were in this action mode right now, was that, having the time to recenter ourselves and to put the right energy, right? That we talk a lot about, like, raising our vibration and raising our energy levels and all that kind of stuff, to the point where we're manifesting the things that we want to manifest. And so keeping that in balance when you're in action is huge, right? Because you have to know that the action that you're taking is actually going to manifest the things that you want to manifest. Yeah.
Well, I think the lead quizzes was a good example of that, because both of us were in lead quizzes, and no offense to the lead quiz lovers out there.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, it just didn't work for us.
We were like, this just doesn't feel right. Like, we could have pushed through and just like gone for it. But maintaining that connection to like ourselves and what felt right and what felt like the right vibration was like, we got to look at other options, because it just like,
it wasn't a vibrational
a vibrational match.
Right.
And that's like, it's just a tool, right? But it matters. It's like,
and that's the whole
point.
It's like
your favorite pen.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Your favorite journal.
Favorite pen.
Yeah, I'm a journal junkie. And if I have you use a spiral notebook and I use a like leather bound journal, I don't like having a spiral notebook, because I don't like the metal against my hand. Like, it's a thing, right? It's not a vibrational
match.
I
have to be able to flip the pages all the way around, or I go crazy.
Exactly. To lay it flat. Yeah.
And they're just tools, but they have to be in alignment with you to keep that sustainable growth going. So if you don't touch base with all these pieces, like, you end up in burnout, right? You get ungrounded, you lose sight of who you are, you lose sight of what the big picture is, you lose sight of what feels good. And you have to focus on what feels right to maintain sustainable growth.
Right. Well, and then the whole point is to feel good, to know what makes you feel good, and to choose what makes you feel good in any given moment. Like everything, whether it's writing in your journal with your favorite pen and your spiral bound notebook that goes flat, right? Or, driving in the car with the music you prefer to keep your energy up and, motivated. Like, any moment you can choose the things that make you feel in alignment with who you are and make you feel happy. Like, the whole point is to feel energized and happy. That's the whole point.
That's the goal of being human.
Yep. It is the goal of being human.
What feels, as Abraham would say, satisfying.
Yes, exactly. Right. Exactly. But I think a lot, we've been told to put ourselves second or third or fourth. That's the what our culture tells us, particularly as mothers and as women, like, that is the message that we get. And so what we're tapping into for ourselves and for the women that we support is that choosing you is not a selfish thing. In fact, it's the most empowering thing you can do for the people around you, because you're lifting the people around you in a whole new way, and they respond to that vibration, and they want to come along with you.
Yeah, and it makes the difference between action and inspired action.
Oh, yeah.
Like building that quiz in a platform that didn't feel good to us would have been action.
Yeah.
Building that quiz in a platform that felt good to us was inspired action.
Yeah.
It was like we still had to do the dirty work.
Mhm.
It wasn't dirty, but you know what I mean? Like we had to do the copying and pasting and clicking and picking colors and like not talking about stuff on a podcast or like
Right.
working with a client. But it was inspired. Like it
Right.
felt good.
Yeah, exactly. It felt in alignment with
Yeah.
our mission and who we were trying to speak to, and how we put ourselves out into the world so that we get back the manifestation of the clients that we want to work with, and they hear what our message is, and all of that. It matters so much.
It all matters.
Yeah, instead of just like, putting something out there just because we were told to put something out there, we may not get back anything with that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It just all matters. How
you do one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, let's take a quick break and then we will come back and look at some questions, some journaling, basically some things you can think about in all of this to make sure you are growing sustainably, and some feng shui tips to like keep your space in alignment with you growing sustainably. Let's face it, no two lives are the same, and there are no one-size-fits-all tips and tricks. We love connecting with you on the podcast, but remember that if you want game-changing results, one-on-one coaching is where it's at. You can access our programs at connectedgrowthcoaching.com, and we will walk you through the unique circumstances that arise in your life and your home. All right. So, hopefully that all is starting to make some sense to you. Maybe you're even there already, just needed to hear it again, or you're just like giving over the wave high fives, like, yep, I'm right there with you. So here are the things that I would encourage you in terms of your mindset to stay in touch with. The first question I would encourage you to think about, or preferably journal, do some writing around, is what are all the balancing elements in your unique growth? So for some of us, that's getting out in nature. Some of us, that's meditation. Some of us, that's like marketing. Like there's all these elements to whatever it is you want to create in the world, and they're going to be different for everybody. It's either figuring out how to market or hiring someone to market. But what are all the things that you need to do to keep your life in balance? And if you're not on the entrepreneur track and you're just thinking about parenting, like what are all the pieces? Whatever it is that you're thinking about, lay out all the pieces. Because if you don't know, then it's really hard to keep them in balance. Right,
exactly. Like just even like how, if you're parenting and you're having trouble finding time to exercise, like, do you sign up for a gym where they have, in-house daycare, or do you have, a personal trainer that can come to your house, or do you pick videos that you can do with your kids right there? Like what works for you, because there's no wrong answer. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to know what are the pieces that I'm trying to balance,
right,
to keep my forward movement as a human being feeling good, right? Moving in a direction of growth. So figure out what they are. And then I would encourage you to ask yourself, like, are these mine or someone else's?
So
was
important.
I programmed to believe that I had to go to church to connect with God, or is there another way for me to connect with God?
Right. Yeah.
Is someone telling me I have to, like I'm trying to think of like a business example,
right,
that I have to have a quiz in order to grow a business,
right?
Or do I actually want a quiz?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Same with parenting. Like, is someone telling me that my kid's supposed to be in sports and dance and whatever, or do they actually want to be there? Do I want them there?
Right.
So just kind of ask yourself, like, once you figure out all the pieces that you're balancing, check in with them. Check in with them again and be like, are these mine? Do I actually want to balance these things? Or did someone tell me I was supposed to?
Right.
That will be eye-opening. And the next thing I would encourage you to keep asking yourself and to journal about it, but then continue, like, find a way to check in with it all the time, is when I think about my big vision, when I think about the end goal. So in parenting, maybe the end goal for some people is just like raising healthy adults or like
or
whatever.
Surviving the day.
Surviving the day. Like, or when I think about launching the business I want, or eventually speaking on stage, or writing a book, like when I think about my big vision, does what I'm doing right now feel good? Because sometimes you find that you're doing all these things that are not in alignment with the big vision, and or they don't feel good, which we would argue is not in alignment with the big vision.
Right. And that's how you can tune into the supposed to, right? Like all of those I shoulds, come into play when you're doing things that don't feel good. You're feeling like I should do this right now, or I'm supposed to do this right now. And maybe there's just another way that feels better.
And one of the examples I use a lot, some of you who've listened to me before may have heard in places, is like cleaning the toilet, right? So no one's actually really pumped about cleaning the toilet.
Nope.
But if you look at it from that big vision place, like, yes, this is a part of my big vision, and it does feel good to have a clean toilet. Right. So it doesn't mean that you love everything you're doing and that it's super fun to clean toilets. It just means that you can clean the toilet like cursing the fact that no one else does it. Or you can clean the toilet and be like, this is so in alignment with what I want for my life.
Right. It makes everyone in my house healthier.
Pretty extreme example, but sometimes people are like, well,
what do you mean?
What do you mean? Like, no one wants to pay bills. No one wants to clean the toilet. No one wants, it's like, that's not the point. The point is that it's not supposed to all be fun. It's like you can make even those ridiculous things fun. Like, put on some good music, like get some sparkly flower gloves and clean the toilet. Like, whatever.
I want sparkly gloves.
Me too. So, I think that's an important distinction because you can get carried away in the, does this feel good? Sometimes you're supposed to do things that are still uncomfortable,
right?
But they're in line and they feel good in the bigger picture.
Right, exactly.
Right? Because it's not like, well, I'm supposed to be happy all the time. It's more just like, is this part of the big vision?
Right. And just just a side note with paying bills, right? Like lighting a candle, getting your favorite beverage, putting some music on again, and, really thinking about the fact that, like, because I'm paying for propane right now, my family has had heat, and we've had gas just to, make those fabulous meals that we've made, like thinking about it in terms of, things that make you feel good rather than like, you got to pay the bills. Like, why are you paying the bills? That sort of thing.
Such a good one.
Yeah. So on to the feng shui. Are you done?
I'm done.
All right.
I got it.
All right. So feng shui. So this, having this inner wisdom to be able to follow that intuition really starts in your knowledge and self-cultivation area. So get out your Bagua map and find your knowledge and self-cultivation area and take a good look around that space and really see if it represents what you need to be able to tap into that intuition, which means, is it open and clear? Are the spaces, cleaned off? Is the space feeling cluttered and closed in? Is it a quiet, reflective area? And if it's not, what can you do about it, right? Can you clear out the clutter? Can you, for me, it always comes down to my kitchen, right? Whose kitchen is crystal clear all the time, right? Probably people that don't use their kitchen, right? We're in our kitchen probably 85% of the time we're in the house, we're in the kitchen. And so that means it's like the hub of where we hang out. It's where all of the school papers land and all that kind of stuff. And so I really do my best to keep it organized and cleared and open, because I know this area relates to my ability to tap into my intuition and to know what is working for me, what is not working for me, because I want to feel good. I want to be tapped into knowing when something is not making. I want to be aware. I want to be present minded to know when something is not feeling good to me, and why is it not feeling good to me, and how can I switch things in order to make me feel better, right? Because when I'm feeling better, everybody around me is feeling better, so it's really important to take a look at that space and really see how you can keep it open and clear and organized, so that flow of inner wisdom, intuition, whatever you want to call it, is flowing to you at all times, whether you're in, chaotic before, as school's picking up, entering school mode, or you're in this big push that Amanda and I just went through with our business, or in parenting, or whatever stage you're in, that you're always accessing that inner wisdom as to what is going to make me feel good right now.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just knowing,
right?
Knowing yourself, and most of us don't.
Yeah, knowing yourself. That is the big thing. I think a lot of times we work with our clients and we try to dig into, what do you want? How do you feel right now? And it's really difficult when we first get going. In the first couple of weeks we work together, it's really difficult for them to answer those questions because they've lost touch.
Yeah.
And that's why they've reached out, right? That's why they're working with us, because they realize somewhere deep in their being, they realize they've lost touch and they don't know how to move from there. And that's where they want to get back to.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Knowledge and self-cultivation. Do it up.
Mm-hmm.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
As always, thanks for listening. If you learned something today that can help the people in your circle, please help us get the word out by sharing. When you leave us a rating and review on iTunes, it not only warms our hearts, but it helps people find us. We are eternally grateful for your support, and we're looking forward to connecting with you next week. Until then, you can find the show notes at www.connectedgrowthcoaching.com. You can grab your journal and then get your shui on.